The air around the Spanish royal palace was unusually tense. Whispers filled the corridors, glances were exchanged behind closed doors, and everyone seemed to be walking on eggshells. Something was brewing, something monumental that would soon erupt into public view. At the center of the storm was Queen Letizia of Spain, a woman known for her poise, intelligence, and discipline. But even the most graceful can be brought to the brink when loyalties are questioned and tempers flare. What unfolded next would shake the monarchy to its core and send shockwaves across the world. In a palace renowned for its decorum, the confrontation was anything but discreet. It wasn't just a disagreement or a mere misunderstanding, it was a terrible fight, a fierce clash between Queen Letizia and her once trusted secretary, a woman who had been her shadow for years, someone who knew her schedule, her preferences, her secrets. And yet, the relationship had soured. What was once based on trust and professional admiration began to rot from within. The tension, long buried under layers of formality, finally exploded in one of the most dramatic episodes in the modern history of the Spanish crown. Letizia, the former journalist turned queen, was never the type to shy away from asserting herself. Her rise to the top had been anything but typical. She had broken royal molds, stepped out of protocol when necessary, and had redefined what it meant to be queen consort in the 21st century. But behind that composed smile and immaculate wardrobe was a woman under immense pressure, juggling duty, image, motherhood, and power. Her relationship with her secretary was one of the few private lifelines she had in the palace. Until it wasn't, sources close to the royal household revealed that the Queen's secretary had, for months, begun to drift away from her official duties, acting with increasing independence, allegedly overstepping boundaries, and even questioning decisions made by the Queen. Letizia, known for her sharp memory and attention to detail, did not take lightly to such perceived insubordination. Meetings became more tense, instructions were delivered in colder tones, and the warm camaraderie that once existed turned icy. But no one expected it to get this bad. During one high-level planning session for an upcoming international trip, the breaking point was reached. Letizia reportedly confronted her secretary over a series of scheduling mishaps and miscommunications that had caused embarrassment to the royal household. Voices were raised. The confrontation, once private, spilled into the hearing of aides and courtiers. Accusations flew, not just about incompetence, but about loyalty, discretion, and betrayal. It wasn't just about missed appointments. It was about trust, and that trust had shattered. The emotional toll on Letizia was undeniable. Eyewitnesses said she left the room visibly shaken, retreating to her private quarters. The secretary was summoned later by King Felipe VI himself. And in what can only be described as a dramatic twist, the king, typically calm and reserved, made a swift and decisive move. The secretary was officially relieved of her duties. The palace issued a statement cloaked in formality, citing internal restructuring, but insiders knew the truth. It was a firing, plain and simple, prompted by a clash that had grown too personal, too intense, and too public to ignore. King Felipe, always a symbol of stability in the monarchy, had stepped in to restore calm. But those close to him noticed the weight in his eyes. Letizia's distress affected him deeply. This wasn't just a staffing change. It was an emotional crisis within his own household. He had watched his wife rise to her role with elegance and strength. He had seen the struggles she endured behind palace walls. And now, he saw her wounded, not by the public or the press, but by someone she had allowed into her inner circle. The aftermath was complex. Letizia, though publicly silent, withdrew slightly from her usual engagements for a short period. Her appearances were more calculated, more carefully managed. Observers noted her increased reliance on other senior aides, and the new staff that began to fill the secretary's role did so with caution, knowing the legacy of the position they had inherited. Royal watchers and analysts debated fiercely in the media. Some argued that Letizia had overreacted, that she had let personal emotions dictate a professional decision. Others defended her, stating that a queen must assert control, especially when trust is broken within the palace. But the real story lies deeper than the headlines. For Letizia, this wasn't just about a secretary failing at her job. It was a symbolic breakdown of one of the few relationships she had control over in an environment that often dictated every other aspect of her life. Being a queen consort is not just ceremonial. It is political, strategic, and deeply isolating. Few understand the suffocating scrutiny, the constant performance, the impossibility of ever truly letting your guard down. Letizia had done so with her secretary. And it had cost her. As the monarchy attempts to restore its public image, this incident remains a stark reminder of the emotional complexities within royal life. It reminds us that behind the carefully curated images of royalty are real people, navigating real conflicts, often without the space or freedom to resolve them like the rest of us. For Letizia, the firing of her secretary marks not just a personnel change, but a profound personal shift. Trust, once broken in the palace, rarely heals. Now, as Queen Letizia resumes her duties with her usual poise, questions continue to swirl. Will this change mark a new era of tighter control within her inner circle? Will she allow anyone that close again? And how has this incident altered her relationship with King Felipe, who, in siding with her publicly, may have privately urged a more diplomatic resolution? Only time will tell how this story truly ends, but for now, one thing is certain: the palace walls have seen more than just royal pomp, they've witnessed a storm of betrayal, emotion, and consequence. This is the kind of royal drama that doesn't just fade away with the next public appearance or official photo. It lingers, etched in the expressions, the silence between events, and the changed dynamics behind the scenes. Letizia's image, once that of a fiercely modern queen navigating monarchy with confidence, now also bears the weight of a painful professional rift. And while the public may never know every detail, the implications are far-reaching. In the wake of this fallout, every move will be analyzed, every smile scrutinized, and every appointment second-guessed. Queen Letizia returned to the public stage with a renewed, almost sharpened presence, her posture straighter, her expressions more measured, her words even more deliberate. If the palace had hoped to quietly sweep the matter under a gilded rug of royal protocol, Letizia's unmistakable transformation made it clear that the aftershocks were still reverberating behind palace doors. Her fashion choices became bolder, more assertive, tailored suits, deep colors, structured silhouettes, all signaling that a queen wronged was now a queen in command. Yet behind that perfectly composed exterior, insiders whispered of deeper tension. While King Felipe remained her staunchest public supporter, even his inner circle was said to have felt the tremors of the fallout. The king, known for his diplomatic finesse and measured temperament, was placed in an unenviable position. He had chosen to act decisively, aligning himself with Letizia to protect the unity of the royal household, but it was clear to those closest to him that the emotional toll of the incident lingered. Felipe had not only lost a trusted palace staffer but had also witnessed his wife deeply hurt, and the cracks in their carefully maintained royal image could not be easily sealed. Court observers noted a tightening of protocols around Letizia's inner team. New staff were vetted with increased scrutiny, and every decision surrounding her public engagements passed through more layers of control. Where once she had delegated freely, she now demanded direct oversight. It was not just a shift in management, it was a queen rebuilding her fortress. And this restructuring wasn't only about efficiency, it was about protection. Letizia had learned the cost of vulnerability within the palace, and it was a price she was determined not to pay again. Meanwhile, the dismissed secretary quietly vanished from the royal narrative. No interviews, no statements, just silence. But silence, in royal circles, often speaks volumes. Speculation about her next move circled briefly in the press, but none came. Some said she had signed confidentiality agreements that prevented her from speaking out. Others claimed she had chosen discretion to preserve her career and avoid tarnishing the monarchy further. But among palace staff and seasoned royal watchers, it was clear, this wasn't just about protocol. It was about fear, fear of retribution, fear of disgrace, and fear of becoming a public enemy of the crown. As Queen Letizia continues to steer her royal journey forward, the shadow of that explosive confrontation still trails her. It's no longer just a palace rumor, it's a symbol of the invisible battles fought behind royal gates, where trust can be weaponized, and loyalty is both precious and perilous. Letizia has emerged stronger, colder perhaps, but unquestionably more powerful. The question that now lingers over the Spanish monarchy is not simply about what happened, but about what this transformation means for the future of Queen Letizia's reign. What will the future hold for Queen Letizia's reign as consort, her influence within the court, and her emotional resilience in the face of such personal challenges? Will this be a footnote in her royal journey or the turning point that defines her legacy? Ask yourself, can trust ever be fully rebuilt once it has been broken so publicly within the heart of a monarchy? Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment your thoughts on this shocking royal fallout.